Hello, well I'm back here at Chew. I've been a few times since my last video, but to be honest, while the weather's been lovely, the water's been so hot that it's been almost, there's just been nothing. I've been the only person here a couple of times, I think, on the whole lake, and I haven't seen a single fish at all. And I think that's because the water temperature towards the beginning of tail end of July, beginning of August, just got really, really hot, and the fish couldn't handle it, so they just weren't interested at all. And there was quite a lot of algae bloom as well. I haven't been able to go since because it's been so windy and stormy and clouds. What I will just show you quickly, I've got a couple of apps that I use, or certainly one app that I use, just to check and see what the wind direction is doing sort of from afar, so I can kind of check to see whether the wind's going to be okay on the bank, which direction it's going to come, what that might mean, where I can fish. I'm left-handed, so that means I've got sort of a different set of criteria to perhaps some of you others. So I'm just going to launch the app now. It's called Windy. This is it here. I've got it set up for Chew Valley Reservoir, and you can see that I've essentially got a map of the reservoir, and I can kind of see what's going to be happening. This is today, so it's, what time is it now? It's around about 6:30. So you see it's actually down to about 11 miles an hour and off this bank, and I'm fishing that way, so that means the wind's going to be coming, I'm left-handed, so the wind's going to be coming across that way, which means the line is not going to blow into the back of my neck or whatever, and it's also going to help me get a little bit of distance. So that in some ways is kind of ideal conditions for me. I'm perhaps a little bit windier than I like, but it means there's a good ripple on the water. Hopefully it won't be too cloudy. So let's see if there's anything about, because it's been an awfully long time and I'm desperate to catch a fish. So I'm going to use my usual, this is a 4-piece 9-foot 6-weight rod, and this is something that I bought via one of the fly fishing sort of coaches, trainers, guides from here at Chew, and it's a little bit better. It's a sort of step up from the first one that I got, but it's not, I think it was about 100 quid. It's not anything special, but seems to have a little bit of power, so that's what I'm using. And just in case I haven't mentioned this before, I'm just using cheap, it's really, actually, you can get into fly fishing quite cheaply. The first rod I bought was about 50-60 quid. These reels are about 30 quid. You can buy very affordable line on eBay or Amazon. It's not the best, but it'll last you a season. You can get that for about a tenner, so it's actually very affordable to get in, and particularly if you can find someone which has got a reasonable cost of day license, and you don't have to go in straight into season tickets just to sort of try it out. But if you are going to fish, start up, I would totally recommend booking. Most reservoirs will have like a kind of a training day where you can go and kind of learn about fly fishing and how that get a taste for the techniques, because if you fished before, it is actually quite different to regular fishing, and you do need to kind of finesse your technique a little bit. It's not like hoiking out a swim feeder or match fishing or any of those other sort of coarse fishing pastimes. There's definitely a technique. It's took me probably a year to get consistent. I could cast, but it's the consistency that's the thing that is the thing that takes time, at least for me. It may be that some people have a better aptitude for it than I have. This is a fluorocarbon. It's an 8-pound fluorocarbon. I'm just going to tie it on. It's like a normal hook tie, hook knot. So 6 or so twists around, and then feed it back through the loop. We're putting a little bit of saliva or water on there just to stop it from any friction. Essentially you just try it, reach out, so you stretch your arm out. 1, 2, and probably 3. So that will give you round about 10, between 9 and 11 feet, depending on how tall you are. So I think today I'm going to start with nymphs and buzzers. So let's put this kind of crunchery style. Well, what's that? That looks like a dialback, doesn't it, actually? Start with one of those on point. So I'm not going to float just yet, but I've also got a float in line, so it'll keep it, you know, not too far off the surface. And the idea thinking behind this is I can have a team of 3 flies, and then I can change the point fly to be a dry, because it would be really nice if there was some surface action tonight and we got to see something take off the surface, because in my opinion that's the most exciting way of catching fish, because you can see what's going on and it's just really sort of thrilling. I mean, it's great if you're catching below the surface, but it's even better. There we go. So I've got a fairly decent knot there, and I'll show you again just because I always do. So I go about 3 feet back, I got a loop once, twice, 3 times, pull it through the middle, should be able to see, give it a bit of saliva. So now I've got a pattern like that, just keep pulling it through, pull the end through until you've got just a little loop, and that means I can just tie my dropper on that. It's just the one I prefer, because you don't have to pull both sets of line through a loop and stuff. So there we go. I don't know what knot that's called, but that works for me, and then I'll just tie my dropper on the end of that. So what should we go for the bottom dropper? Sort of brown and orange. Let's try that. Then we got all 3 bases covered. Well, as usual, I'm going to stick a bit of mud or whatever. I mean, there's lots of different things, and what this does, even though fluorocarbon sinks a little bit more readily than monofilament, it's a bit denser. Just anything to help. And you can see this is a sort of washing line, but without a dry fly on the end. So that's the first dropper, that's the second dropper, whoops, and then we're just coming straight down to the point. So that looks like it's about 11 feet. There we go. So it's actually really still. Could have timed this perfectly, either that or it's going to start tipping down in a bit. But there's a lot of cloud over there, but it's nice and flat. You can see there's some weeds out there on the water sticking up, so I'll probably want to go over here. I always start here and I never seem to catch anything here. It's because oh look, there's a heron. Wow, look at that go. Wow. Some lovely bird life. I always come here because I think it's because I've caught so many things here in previous years. I somehow think it's going to be the same every time I come, but so far I've had absolutely no luck while I've been doing these videos. So a couple of weeks beforehand, absolutely smashed it. I caught loads, but you know, it's the thing of fishing, isn't it? I'm doing a very slow draw here, trying to keep it down just to see if there's anything down as far as, you know, 10 or 11 feet there. So we'll try maybe some faster retrieves and see if there's a bit more activity. He's going to attempt something. And what I'll do there is I'll put the rod under my arm and I'll just do kind of this sort of action, move it a bit faster. Sometimes they respond to that. Again, I have a sort of slight inkling that because there's basically nobody else on the lake whatsoever, maybe people know something, being more experienced anglers than I do, that there just aren't any fish around.